Gold mining companies will not hesitate to shut down mines if violence flares up in the sector. That's the warning from Harmony Gold ahead of wage negotiations. In a results presentation on the sidelines of the mining Indaba in Cape Town, the company said it had posted a loss of nearly R500 million for the quarter that ended in December. That's on the back of lower gold production due to a restructuring at its Kusasalethu mine and lower gold prices. Our reporter Leuta Motlogelwa spoke to Harmony Gold CEO Briggs in Cape Town. He began by asking if plans to return that troubled Kusasalethu mine back to profits by the end of this year are still on track.
The Section 189 process that we're in now is typically supposed to be a 60-day process. Often they take a bit longer. We should be getting towards the end of February when that'll be done. And then we need a few months to really get people focused on the new plan and that. So by the end of June, we should be in a good position. Now, that doesn't mean to say for the quarter of June we'll be in a good position, but certainly June month we should be in a much better position.
Do we by now have an idea in terms of perhaps the extent of the restructuring and the sort of numbers we're looking at that mine?
Yeah, certainly. We have a very good number. We're having discussions with the unions on that. It's always a little bit of a moving number because although the numbers we know and have identified that we need for Kusasalethu going forward, we don't identify exactly who's going to go and who isn't going to go. And one of the things that we try and do is transfer people from a place like Kusasalethu into other operations who actually have lost people over the last few months. So we'd like to try and transfer those. So there's transfers that are happening. There will be some people that voluntarily retrench, want to go, and then, we'll get to sort of the end where it's compulsory retrenchment. But, these are discussions that are happening in the CCMA with the union, and therefore we don't really want to talk about them, out of those meetings.
Your operations, the gold price has had an impact in terms of your operations. But there's an issue of electricity supply as well. Just paint a picture for me, as a local operator, what kind of difficulties are you faced with, and how does that translate into some of the challenges you face?
Yeah, in essence, I think for a long period now, since 2008, we've really moved our usage of electricity more into the off-peak side. So we used to use very little in the dark hours of the night. Now we use more and more electricity. So we've taken the peak hours way down, and we are now sort of flattening that line. With the latest demands on electricity is really a case of, we are being asked to reduce electricity consumption by 10, sometimes 20%. Now, that means you have to actually do something. You have to stop hoisting, you have to turn mills off and that sort of thing. So it is affecting our business. There's obviously some of those you can try and catch up again in off-peak times, but you can't always catch those things up. So if a mill's been down for several hours, then it's been down, you can't catch up that production because you're probably planning to produce during the night with that mill. So it is affecting us. This last quarter, the effects are fairly minimal. Because it was really just towards the tail end of November and into December that the electricity issues were sort of obvious. This quarter that we're in, of course, there may be more disruptions because, as we've seen, there's a lot more disruptions, and the public has seen them obviously through blackouts and so on.
Now, Graham, we are the mining Indaba here in Cape Town. For a local company, how would you describe perhaps the state of the gold mining industry, and what would you look for at a gathering of this nature?
Look, the one thing about gold miners in South Africa and South African miners in general is that they're resilient, and they can overcome a lot of the issues that we have. Whether it be labor issues, we can sit down, negotiate, and get a good outcome. Whether it be difficult technical issues, I mean, we South Africans can do those sort of things together, and so there's within the company there's actually quite a positive vibe. Here down in Cape Town, I'm sure those issues that are sort of generally will be talked about. So you'll talk about all the negative things. There won't be a heck of a lot of talking about a lot of the positive things. But, you know, generally Harmony is doing well. You know, if you look at Papua New Guinea, we've had massive successful exploration. Golpu is a fantastic asset. You know, we have bought in South Africa in the past old assets which have had, you know, gone past their best in their original company, and we are taking them further, and we've been spending some money on deeper extensions and so on, and we're turning them into success stories, which otherwise those mines would have closed. So there's a lot of positives that come through in our company, but a lot of positives, I think, generally in South Africa. And so, you know, it mustn't all be seen as doom and gloom, and we shouldn't just pick up those topics which are, you know, topical, and, you know, the Eskom stories or, you know, so on. I mean, they are concerns, and we need to get through them. We need, in our own company and in consultation with others, we need to resolve those.